I'll begin in just a moment. Well, it's 12:30, so I would like to welcome everyone. My name is Melissa McGuire, and I'm a managing director at Sherpa. Welcome to our first in our Sherpa Spotlight series, our initiative to introduce our clients and friends to local organizations that are making a difference in our community. We can't think of a better group to start with than Heart Math Tutoring. Heart Math Tutoring supports our community through their math intervention program that recruits, trains, and supports volunteer tutors in high poverty elementary schools in Charlotte. A recent article in the Mint Hill Times noted Heart Tutoring provides an easy to use and scripted curriculum, program coordination, and school partnership that joins forces and provides an effective, fun, and hands-on way for any community member to step in and tutor an elementary student, no math experience required. Heart Math Tutoring mission is to ensure that all elementary students develop a strong foundation in math and enthusiasm for academics needed for long-term success by helping schools use volunteers as tutors. Sherpa helps companies hire talent, so we know the importance of career readiness. We specialize in the fields of accounting, finance, marketing, executive support, and human resources. You have to be good at math for accounting and finance, but we know that people in all of these areas have better career opportunities if they are confident with math and numbers. Knowing that you are probably more involved than ever with your young person's education these days, we feel like that you will benefit greatly from hearing from Heart Tutoring. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you the Executive Director of Heart Tutoring, Emily Elliott Gaffney. Emily is a Charlotte native, Chapel Hill grad, and she's a longtime volunteer tutor and has a background in teaching math at the 6th grade level through Teach for America. And she also has a background in finance. She helped start Heart Math Tutoring in 2013, and it has shepherded its growth from 120 students to 1,200 students this past school year. There are many more things I could say about her that are terrific, but I'd rather give her time to share her wisdom with us. Take it away, Emily.
Thank you, Melissa. Thanks everybody so much for being here to listen to this today. We're so grateful to work with Sherpa. The nonprofit is 7 years old, and Sherpa has helped us fill some really important staff positions and has also been a great resource for staffing strategy. Just I'll call with a question as we try to build out our great team. So we've grown from 1.5 employees 7 years ago to almost 30 awesome team members today. So let me share my slides. And while I do that, I want to ask, how many of you have said, I'm not a math person? We hate when people say that. At Heart Tutoring, we're passionate about math, and we also believe all children and adults can be powerful with numbers. And we believe that when people are powerful with numbers, it impacts the rest of their lives, from developing important habits like perseverance and critical thinking skills and problem solving skills, also to feeling successful in school and accessing exciting career fields and really just understanding the world around us. So today I'm going to hit a couple of things related to math trends, the importance of math. I'm going to go over some foundational math skills that are important for all kids to develop. And I'm going to give some links to math resources, talk about some just general tips for supporting students' math development, mostly related to math mindsets. Speaking of math mindsets, though, one of the main mindsets you need to have is that math is not scary, like this Halloween-themed presentation title implies. In all seriousness, if you're scared of math, it actually hurts you and your child's ability to actually learn the math. So I hope that in this presentation, you'll see some ways to make numbers more friendly. And then at the end, I'll tell you about Heart Tutoring and take some questions. And Greg at Sherpa offered to send slides out afterwards, so you'll have all these links and resources. And I'd love to talk with you afterwards about getting involved in Heart Tutoring as well. Importance of math. So I never knew when I took this job that I would have to make the case that math is important. It seemed obvious to me that math was important, but I also didn't know how important it actually is. It turns out that math supports social emotional development and confidence. It's of course critical to employment opportunities. And most surprisingly is that early math impacts later literacy skills. A study that compared the impact of early math skills, early literacy skills, and early social emotional skills found that school entry math skills had the highest correlation with later achievement, not only in math, but also in literacy. And that's the Greg Duncan study that's flagged here on the slide. The thing is, if you start off behind, you're unlikely to catch up. Actually, more students fall behind each year as the courses get harder. So if students show up to algebra or math 1, as we call it in Charlotte, unprepared and they fail it, they're on their first take of the course, they have a very low chance of passing it on the second or third time. So it's really important that kids are ready for algebra. A lot of the issue with kids falling behind as the course levels progress relates to a poor foundational understanding of numbers. Some of the gaps that researchers have seen are shown on the slide. And this matches what teachers have seen. And I know I saw it when I was teaching 6th grade math. We see it in our program. So you see up here like a lack of understanding of equality. By middle school, 6th graders often think that the equal sign just means give me the answer. And they've lost that concept that the equal sign is really a balance where two sides of the equations need to balance out. You can see on the screen, we see this a lot where elementary students are using memorized processes of borrowing and carrying to subtract something like 100 minus 98 here, instead of understanding the size of those numbers and knowing that they're just 2 apart from each other. And lastly, place value is a huge hurdle for 3rd and 4th graders and beyond. And it lays the groundwork for decimals and fractions and percentages in middle school. It can be confusing for a child to think of a group of 10 objects as 1 unit of 10, and it requires a lot of hands-on practice to really understand it intuitively. The good news is all of this can be fixed with the way students are introduced to numbers or just with targeted experience that helps build understanding of how numbers work. Let's rewind to very early years and watch this video from Mecklenburg County and Smart Start about the basics. This is trying to build community support to help really young kids build number sense early on.
How do children learn to count, group, and compare?
Avery, you gonna count with me? 1, 2.
People often make statements like, I'm just not a math person. But actually, we're all born to be math people.
Now say, wee.
Fascinating new science shows that babies come into the world already wired to learn math concepts.
1, 2, 3.
And what they learn in those first few years makes a difference when they start school.
At the age from 0 to 5 years old, their brain they developing really rapidly. So this is really good time to teach them how to count.
You want to do numbers? 1, 2, 3.
Learning to count is a first and important step. Children learn to count strings of numbers before they really understand what the numbers mean.
6.
The next big leap is to understand how many things each number stands for.
What we do with her blocks is we'll go 1, then put 2 together, then put 3 together, put 4 together, and 5. So what we want to see is if she can gradually make it from knowing the 1 is the 1 and the 5 is actually 5 different things.
In other words, the number 4 or the number 5 represent 4 or 5 of something.
Do you want to do some laundry? Gonna help Mama?
So when you're with your child, talk about numbers and connect those numbers to groups of things.
How many socks?
1, 2.
2 socks.
She just celebrated her 3rd birthday, so we made a wall of 3s. She's 3 years old. There's 3 sides to a triangle. There's 3 parts to an egg, a shell, the whiting, and the yolk. Honestly, I don't think it sinks in until later on she'll talk about there's 3 sides to a triangle. So I'm teaching her, but I don't expect her to get it right then.
We use things that we know she likes, like books. So we'll say, go get 2 books, and she'll come back with 2 books.
Let's go.
You don't need to set aside extra time for these things. Just talk about what you're seeing and doing as you go about your normal daily activities. Talk about shapes. Look for shapes when you're out and about. Talk about how far you have to walk to get home.
You can count the lines in the cement when you're walking down the sidewalk. You know, every 10, we'll clap and say we got 10.
Excellent. Thank you.
As you go about your day, talk about things like size and distance.
1.
By including your child in everyday activities and talking to them about the magnitudes and distances and the sizes of the things you touch, you are building foundations for math.
3. Yes.
Then someday you may hear the statement, yep, I'm a math person. When that day comes, take some of the credit.
6. I feel like right now she's a sponge, and she's taking everything in. She is definitely learning from us. Every moment's a teaching moment in my mind. Good job.
How do you help your child learn to count, group, and compare? Which of your family members and friends should also see this video? Please join us and help spread the word.
Great, so that's a great resource to share with others, and Smart Start in Mecklenburg County have put several videos together on other subjects as well, but take it from those parents. None of what they just described is scary, and it's all helping young kids build numbers. Switch slides. All right, so moving a little bit older to kids that are maybe in kindergarten through 3rd grade. I want to show you the trajectory of the foundational skills that Heart Tutoring's curriculum covers. And these correspond with some online resources that I'm going to show you in a minute. So these 6 levels on the screen correspond to kindergarten through 3rd grade standards. We work in Heart with students in grades 1 through 5 who need practice on skills that they missed in earlier years. Because when you go back and fill in the gaps in understanding from prior years, it can help unlock older students' ability to understand the grade level targets that they're hearing in class. So our program's largely based on assessments that were written by Kathy Richardson at Math Perspectives in Bellingham, Washington. Once we use her assessments to determine where a student needs help, the student works through Heart's curriculum activities, which we've sequenced into these 6 levels. So at the beginning, counting, students are working on attaching meaning to numbers. They start to compare numbers and learn that numbers are contained within numbers. For example, 4 is 3 away from 7, or it's 3 less than 7. And also that you can change 7 into 4 by taking away 3. So we practice all of this with cubes and hands-on objects. Then we move towards internalizing the parts of numbers up to 10. So when students begin combinations to 10, they have to use their fingers to find the missing piece. If I show them a pile of 7 cubes and hide some under my hand, they're using their fingers to count how many are missing. But by the end of that combinations to 10 notebook, students are no longer have to count, and they're able to just know the parts of 6, 7, 8, 9, and most importantly, 10, which they're going to use for higher levels of math. After that, in the strategies to 20 and place value notebooks, we're working on adding and subtracting using parts of numbers and using 10 as a landmark. And then in the highest level, we do address understanding multiplication and division, meaning recognizing multiplication in real world examples and how to apply the number sense that they learned in the prior notebooks. So this comes into play majorly in middle school word problems, if not also before. As a 6th grade math teacher, I did see students who could have benefited from going back to these foundational skills to be able to access their middle school math work. So do stay tuned if you have older kids. Let me show you a screenshot of Heart's family page, just moving into resources and tips with online resources. This is a screenshot of Heart's website of our families page. The 6 tiles correspond to the 6 notebooks that I showed you on the last slide. And it's definitely important that students work in the level where they can be successful playing the game, but where they're also being challenged to look at the numbers in new ways for them. And there's a slide in the appendix of this presentation that shows exactly what a student should know who's practicing in these 6 levels. So you can click on any of these tiles on our website. And let's say you click on the counting tile, you're going to see something like this. You're going to see all these videos and options. And I thought it would be nice for you to watch a student play a game to support counting.
Hi there, today we're going to play a game called Hunt for It that helps students practice counting accurately, as well as associating a number with a quantity and matching the correct physical numeral to each quantity. I'm going to play today with my daughter, who's 2.5, so we're just going to do the numbers one. You are going to do it. And we're just going to use the numbers 1 through 4. You can do this with larger numbers if you'd like, and choose any material in your home. To incentivize her, we are using M&Ms as our counters, and I've placed 1 through 4 M&Ms under these 4 cups, and I have 4 different numeral cards. She is going to pick a card and then lift up the cups until she finds the number that matches the quantity. All right, Copeland, pick a number for us and let's see what you get. What number do you have there? A 3. Okay. Lift up and see how many. How many are under this cup, Copeland? Just 1. All right, put it back down. Let's try again until we find the 3. How many are there?
1, 2, 3,
4. That's right. As you're counting, encourage your child to touch and count so that they practice one-to-one correspondence. All right, so we haven't found it. Let's keep going until we find the 3. Woo! I think we dropped 1 there. Copeland, I think that was the 3. So I'm going to give you that one. Wait, let's check and see. Can you count them? Okay, you got the 3. Okay, you get to eat them. All right, let's pick a new card. We'll do 1 more. All right, what have you got? What number?
So you guys probably don't remember a time when you saw 3 objects and didn't know that it was 3, but you can, when you watch young kids work with numbers, you start to remember some surprises that number sense is not. You start to remember, well, you don't remember, but it is surprising to remember that young children don't yet associate quantities with numerals. And there's a lot of ways to practice that. And that's one example. Just wanted to point out, if you click into the place value part of our notebook, if you click on the place value tile in our notebook, then there's this is a 10-minute tutorial where a student who's in 3rd or 4th grade could practice adding and subtracting on a number line and kind of follow along with one of our staff members who's demonstrating it and talking through her reasoning. So just some good tutorials as well for some of the older levels in our notebooks. We at Heart recently found out about Google Jamboard, which is an interactive whiteboard where several people can be in the same Google file moving objects around. And we found this because at Heart Tutoring, we're taking our program virtual this year, and so needed some new tools. And so the team has transferred all of our curriculum activities into Google Jamboard and corresponding lesson plans that are a lot of fun. Ours are not on the internet and publicly available yet, but we found this site by the Kentucky Center for Mathematics, who agreed that it was fine to share. There are tons of publicly available games that could be really, really helpful for students of all levels. And the games are organized into notebooks or into levels that are similar to the curriculum levels in Heart's program. This was a video example that you can watch at a later time. I'll just skip it for now. And it's more involving adding numbers up to 20. Touching on some general math tips. So like I said before, number one is just don't be scared about math. Your children, if you're scared about math, your children are actually going to pick that up from you. Math anxiety is a real thing. But otherwise, here are some favorite tips that we give our tutors. Surprise, surprise, but in math, it's actually really important to be less helpful. Many students who are already behind in math have already been told how to do the problems. And what they need at this point is time and a chance to really think about the work and figure it out on their own. So you want to encourage students to use their prior knowledge to apply it to harder things and just really check their own work and really prove to themselves how addition works, how subtraction works, and take that logic up into the higher levels of math as well. And we tell our volunteer tutors, that you're a facilitator, not an instruction. So your role is to ask questions and require good explanations, but not to tell students how to do it. Some of those questions that we ask our kids, how did you get that? Are you sure about your answer? And really asking, are you sure, whether the answer is right or wrong, so that the student gets used, or your child gets used to relying on himself or herself and not looking to the adult for validation of the check mark or the X. Really important also is the growth mindset. So growth mindset is where if a person believes that his or her brain is malleable and can grow, and that he or she can learn, he or she actually learns more. So definitely explicitly teach your students that their brains can grow, just like any other muscle that needs practice and exercise. Praise students for their effort and not just their innate smartness. They cannot control their innate smartness, but they can control their effort. There's actually a lot of studies of where gifted students actually suffer the first time they try something challenging and fail at it. If they have grown to believe that getting the answer right quickly means that they're smart, then they're less prepared to take on challenges that require a little bit more effort and persistence. And then we love using the power of yet. You may not have learned something yet, but that doesn't mean you won't learn it soon. I want to take about 3 minutes to tell you about Heart Tutoring. The best way to explain it, you've got the program models up on the screen. We're a nonprofit. We recruit volunteers to be tutors, and we manage the tutors for the schools and supervise student progress all along the way. The best way to describe it is really just to tell you about one of our students. So I want to tell you about Carlos. He is a 2nd grade student at Billingsville. He was an English language learner and was behind in all of his subjects. His teacher, Miss Keat, tried a lot of different interventions, but without a lot of success. So she gave him extra support. She put him in small groups and used special curriculums. And she also nominated him to receive tutoring from a volunteer from Heart Tutoring. On his pre-assessment, we had seen that he needed help on kindergarten concepts, and we paired him with the tutor so that he would be picked up from his classroom twice a week for 30 minutes. Carlos was always excited to go to tutoring. He played games and activities that were fun and on his level. And his teacher did not see immediate impact, probably because Carlos was working on kindergarten level skills, even though he was in a 2nd grade level class. But Carlos seemed to enjoy tutoring, and he and his tutor persevered. By the spring, his teacher said Carlos had what she called an academic growth spurt. She said, "He is shocking me and his classmates with his newfound math skills." The other day we were practicing skip counting, 5, 10, 15, and Carlos shouted out, "This is easy." So by the end of the year, Carlos had scored a 90% on a Common Core 2nd grade level assessment, and Ms. Keat credited a lot of that to the time that he spent with his tutors in the program. The nonprofit was started 7 years ago, and last year served almost 1,200 students across 23 local elementary schools. And also it has been working. So we have 5 years of data showing that students enrolled in Heart start farther behind than the other students at their schools, but they experience more growth than the other students during the year that they're served. And that's based on North Carolina end of grade test data. We tell tutors that half of their job is to deliver the curriculum, and the other half of their job is to be a positive influence. Math is a great tool for building confidence and social emotional skills, and that's a really big piece of the work. We are very grateful for generous support from local foundations, corporations, and from individual donors. And the program just wouldn't be here without those who are supporting it financially, shown on the screen. And our volunteers really come from a very wide variety of organizations and demographic profiles. It's very important to us that volunteering works, even for people who have busy schedules. So we place a program coordinator at each school site for training and real-time support for the tutors. And we provide a volunteer-friendly curriculum to ensure that the volunteer-delivered tutoring is effective for both the students and the tutors. 3 possible ways to get involved. Tutoring is virtual this year, so volunteers are meeting with students over a computer or a laptop, and the commitment is about 1 hour per week. We provide the training, curriculum, and real-time support from a program coordinator who's dedicated to a particular school site and group of students. So you would sign up for that online, and we will take it from there. And then secondly, on the funding side, the main cost of the program are the staff and the tutoring materials. So all in, it costs about $1,000 to get a student through 1 year of tutoring. And then lastly, for volunteer partners, we think the program is a good fit for 50 schools here in Charlotte. And so we're going to be looking for many more partners to help more students get the math skills and the encouragement that they need. So please email, my email address is on there, and volunteer@hearttutoring.org is on there, but we're definitely looking to increase partnerships over the next 6 months and also 3 to 5 years. So I'll leave you with contact information and some links to a lot of those math resources. Would love to talk to you after this, and feel free to shoot me an email. Greg will send out these slides. But that's all I've got. Greg or Melissa, is there anything in the chat or any question? Does anyone have questions that you would like me to address?
So no questions in the chat.
I smiled so many times on this. It was really fun to see the students playing with math, because I love math, but everybody doesn't. It looks like it was very engaging type of work to do with young people.
Well, thank you so much for having me for this first Lunch and Learn session, and I'll turn it back to you guys at Sherpa.
Yes. Emily, well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Lisa. I'm the VP at Sherpa, and we just want to thank you for putting this together, teaching me. I wish I would have known about it when my daughter was at such a young age. I tried to do those things, but those specific things I saw were very useful, I'm sure, for a lot of people. And what a great organization, and what you all are doing, since math is so key in our society. So we really appreciate it. And once again, to all of you that are on here, if you would like to get involved, please do. She left all of her information. We're going to send you these slides, and they could use the help. And it is as she said, that it does make a dramatic difference in a child's life. So if you are able to hook up with the organization, please do. We are so thankful that all of you joined us on our first Spotlight series, and certainly look for more to come. Thank you very much, Emily.
Thanks, Lisa.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Bye all.